You've heard the Obscene Podzeen. Well, now you are listening to Podzeen Tour Thing.
All right, welcome. Come one, come all. Yeah. Ooh, yeah, baby.
Featuring Frankie T and Danger Remington Dorchester.
Okay.
All right, Podzeners. I know it's been a few weeks. There would have been an episode last week of your Podzeen Tour Thing. However,
We talked.
We did talk. We recorded a whole thing. I have my side of the conversation. No,
You
okay.
recorded.
Touche. I have my side of the conversation, and if I compress the shit out of the audio, we can pick you up, but then we get all of my mouth breather noises. So
Which might
that's
be
no
interesting.
fun. I mean, I listened to it, and I was like, oh, I sound like a total fucking nerd. Because it's just... Yeah, exactly. Which, I mean, some of that kind of translates in the episodes anyway. When I listen back, so I didn't want to like exacerbate the situation. So yeah, so my apologies, Podzeners, because it was a total technical difficulty on my side that I did not catch before we started recording. It has now been squashed, and so we can catch you guys up to where things are for us. I kind of want to jump on this to begin with because I was the one with the really big for me anyway, big thing of news was I got to shoot the Atreyu concert last week.
Yeah.
Which was a fuck ton of fun. It's not my first big show, but it's the biggest show I've done so far.
What venue were they playing at?
They were at the Summit Music Hall.
Summit Music Hall.
Which
All
just got... Apparently, it's mostly just a metal venue, so I'm not surprised you haven't been. It's not ringing many bells for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I saw Converge there, I think was the first show I ever went to down there, and then I saw Cradle of Filth there, and... Is that all we've done? We've seen a few shows. They recently just got remodeled, so like their balcony is VIP only.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Does it
And
make you feel very important when you're up there?
it made me feel pretty important because I didn't have to pay to get up there. Because like it's a thing, you buy your ticket to get in because it's mostly a GA venue, and then you can pay the dude at the stairs leading up to the balcony to become a VIP. So it's like I don't know how VIP that is, but whatever. I didn't have to pay because I was a photographer. Yeah, so it was a blast. I don't know how else to say it. It was a fucking blast. So I'm used to the shows I'm used to doing are hip hop shows because I am kind of friends with a local hip hop group called Enlightened Artists. And so, like, I'll go shoot their shows, and they've opened up for some national acts. Like, they opened up for Ritz a little over a year ago. About 3 months after that, they opened up for a cat named Chris Calico, who is
Nice.
He's also a strange music artist, so he's signed on the record label that what's his name? Oh, motherfucker. Tech Nine's record label. So that's primarily been my experience. They're not exactly high profile acts because it was those two shows were the Ritz was at the Aggie and Chris Calico was at the Starlight, and they don't really have a press alley in front of the
Starlight?
stage. Yeah. Well, sorry. Odie's half note. Whatever.
Yeah.
I'm old. Fuck off.
It used to be the Starlight.
It used to be the Starlight, like 5 fucking owners ago.
Yeah, like 15 years ago.
I told you I'm old. All right. Like
It's all right.
So they don't. Neither
For
of those
those
venues,
millennials
though,
listening, Hodie's
yeah,
half
I know.
note in Fort Collins used to be the Starlight.
used to be called the Starlight, and almost nothing is different inside that place. The bathrooms are nicer, and like they've separated them at this point, but. Otherwise, the backstage area is exactly the same. The
It's
stage
so
itself.
funny to even think of those bathrooms being nicer.
Oh, dude,
Where were they before? Oh man,
Oh, they were so fucking
They were
disgusting
so
back in the
bad.
day.
Yeah,
Like it was to the point where half the time when we would play up there, we would just piss out the back door because the bathrooms were so fucking nasty.
Yeah.
So
Quality venue there. I love that place.
I really love playing there. It's so
Yeah.
fun. It's so much fun. But the heavy scene and really the music scene up in northern Colorado is not fucking conducive is the word I was looking for. Conducive to even like Sandwich stuff. I feel like it would be hard-ish to book a show for Sandwich up here at these days.
Yeah, there's it's a tough market for a lot of reasons. You know, the music fans aren't really the steady residents up here.
Yeah.
It's got a good sit down crowd, you know.
Yeah.
People that want to go and sit down and listen to singer songwriters and stuff like that. But for people trying to do experimental music, it can be kind of tough, you know.
Yeah. Like, yeah, fucking tough.
Not there's not people there to appreciate it. It's just the venues and the vibe, the society that's really going on up here.
Right.
It's more about eating food than listening to music.
Very true. Or the music they want to listen to is more akin to like every now and then you see a decent crowd at like a blues show or
they get good crowds for certain turnouts, but
Yeah.
I feel like this audience has been just a little bit, I don't know, spoiled by like New West Fest and a lot of the free events and whatnot that happen, and where, you know, the Thursday night concerts downtown and there's so much free music available. I feel like people have a hard time paying to go see something.
Yeah, I feel like that's a big deal. I've talked to a couple of the sound guys at these hip hop shows that I've been doing, and was just like, I've been out of the game for a minute. Is the northern Colorado heavy music scene any good anymore? And they're like, no, it's fucking dead.
Mm-hmm.
And again, not that Sandwich is all that heavy, but like Orifice A is even probably too heavy for northern Colorado these days.
Oh, they've tried. They
were on a bill that was supposed to play yesterday, but they couldn't make it down.
Like Surfside 7's really their crowd, but even that place is hit and miss. It's not a music destination, you know what I'm saying?
No, it's not. Like you would have to get through, because touring acts still make it through here. Like you still get
touring acts even play Surfside 7.
That's true. Like at the end of the year, at the end of this month, rather, Gogol Bordello is playing at the Aggie.
Nice.
Which is, again, not super aggressive.
When
but
is
it's
that?
Punky. The 30th at the Aggie, I believe, and then the 31st there in Boulder, and I'm going to catch them in Boulder.
Oh, man. I might try to go check out one of those shows. I'm friends with their tour manager.
Oh, for real? Yo,
Yeah.
if since that's the case, I was gonna say I'm half considering trying to hit him up to see if I can shoot both of the shows, because that would be almost as fucking life changing as shooting Atreyu was last week.
Yeah.
But like,
let me reach out to Paolo.
Yeah, for sure.
Buddy.
That would be sick, sir. Then we could hit it up.
When he's not out with Golo, he helps us out with Ween.
Oh, that's right. I have heard that name before.
Yeah.
Cool.
No, he's good people. He's a good Italian dude.
For sure. Anyway, so that was a big wandering way of saying I don't get to shoot a lot of metal shows. So this is, not only is this like my first time shooting a metal show as a photographer, but this is my first time doing a show that is this high profile in its specific genre. Like metalcore for a while was huge and is still apparently pretty big, judging by the turnout of this crowd. And like I took your advice as much as I could of the just stay out of the fucking way. But there was no place where I could have been in the way, so I felt pretty confident in that I wasn't going to piss anybody off.
Yeah. You just gotta play the room, you know.
Yeah. They had a touring photographer who was really only shot. She was apparently supposed to be there for all four of the bands that are on the tour. Opener was Sleep Signals, and then Ice Nine Kills, and then Memphis Mayfire, and then Atreyu was the headline. So
Nice.
she was supposed to be shooting all four bands. I only saw her shoot Memphis Mayfire, assuming it's the person I think it was, because there was only one photographer that they. So all right, let me before I get way too deep into this shit.
Yeah, start at the beginning here. Start at the beginning.
All right, so. Since that's kind of the purpose of the podcast, right? Is we're kind of lifting up the curtain and showing the behind the scenes shit of this. The way I got these tickets is because I just hit up Atreyu on their Facebook. They have the information on their About Me page, and it has their management email, and it has booking email, and it has press contact and all that jazz. So I hit up management and the press contact and was trying to get an interview. Management got back to me and was like, hey, we're excited that you want to talk to our artist. Email us again about a week or so before the show, and we'll let you know if we can fit you in the schedule. Because I hit them up like 2 months before the show. Because even though people might seem a little bit annoyed that you're persistence is what pays off. That's the thing I'm learning about being on this side of it. Because when we had recorded last week, I laid it out, and Podzeners haven't heard this, so pardon me their danger. But this is like the third side of the situation, because the primary two sides would be being in the audience or being on the stage, right?
Yeah, it's that limbo spot,
Right. Or even part of being on the stage would be the tech people who tour with the band. That still I would consider being that second spot of being on stage. Whereas,
although depending on the venue, photographers do get access side stage, and
for sure, absolutely.
Sometimes it's just
stage.
the photo pit. A lot of times it's just a photo pit.
Right. And I feel like that's not only venue specific, but sometimes it's artist specific as well. And then like
depends
the genre
on the contract, as always.
Right. Most everything depends on that contract. So when I hit them back again,
that's another big part about lifting up the veil and showing behind the scenes is. There is no standard that just because we tell stories about the way one thing happened doesn't mean that's the way it always happens.
Exactly.
Part of the fun part of this industry is that it's an ever-changing thing that way.
It is definitely a shape-shifting beast. That is absolutely a positive thing. So management hit me back after I sent them the email a week before and was like, hey, so show's a week out, just wondering if it's cool if I can score. I'll interview one of the guys, I'll interview the whole band, whatever they've got time for. Management was like, hey, we're really happy you want to talk to our guys, but it looks like we're not going to have room for you in the schedule, which is the nice way of saying your podcast isn't big enough for us your podcast isn't big enough for us to give a shit.
Yeah,
which is fine. Like I acknowledge the fact that what I'm doing
minnows.
right now. Yeah, what I'm doing right now is still pretty low key. Like that's not beyond me. So I was like, no worries. I understand how this goes, but
well, look on the bright side. If we were a high key podcast, you would have been fired for fucking up the recording last week.
It's true. So I said, thanks for considering me anyway. Would it be possible for me, because I'm also a photographer and I do run this YouTube channel and do these podcasts, would it be possible for me to get a photo pass to the show so I can still review the performance even though I don't get to talk to the guys? Dude was like, absolutely, your name's on the list. Like that's how easy it was. Like I part of me really hates showing how easy it can be to get passes to certain things, because anyone can literally do this. I feel like there was a little bit of credence given to the fact that the podcast has been in existence. The Nerdy Podcast, at least, has been in existence for about 2 years. So it's not like I'm just starting out doing that.
Yeah, well, and it always depends on the level of artist you're trying to go see, because there's the majority of artists are still wanting more publicity in any way that they can get it. So
exactly.
any photographer, anybody that's going to go in there and help spread the word of their band or their performance anywhere, whether it's online or word of mouth, like most music acts they just want the word out.
Yeah.
So if you're looking into getting into photography or anything like that, it can be a really good place to build your portfolio. Go see up and coming bands. And
it really, really can. There were like 12 photographers there, not counting the touring photographer, because again, I didn't see her until towards the end of the night, so I didn't really count her. But legit, there were about 12 of us in the pit, and the photographer pit at the Summit Music Hall was not small, but necessarily. Like they were all telling horror stories about the photographer pit at the Gothic, how it was like 2 inches and shit. So there was plenty of room for us to bump shoulders as we were trying to get our shots.
Yeah.
But one of the guys, I saw that he was standing on side stage before the show started, and he had a big, fancy camera, which they don't just let anybody. At most venues, I've been to some venues where like there's just people in the crowd holding DSLRs. I was like, what? Really? Like,
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was a goth show. I don't remember. Was that at Herman's Hideaway that we saw? No, not
like
Orgy.
I said, some bands, depending on their level of success, they'll take any amount of exposure they can.
Legit, and to a point where it's like they're playing at a place where they can't stop people from bringing the cameras. So like, fuck it, just bring it, take my picture.
Yeah, it's not like they're a big name comedian that's on a tour getting ready for a special, and they don't want their material released.
Right? They want as many people to hear their material as possible.
The exact opposite. Yeah.
But yeah, so he lives in Fort Collins, this other photographer, and his friend was the old tour manager for 2 of the opening acts and used to do sound for Atreyu. So
cool.
His friend just hooked him up, was like, hey, you want to go see Atreyu? He was like, can I shoot the show? He said, fuck yeah, you can shoot the show. He got him an all access and a photo pass. I was like, motherfucker. But he was just there because that's exactly what he was doing. He was trying to build his portfolio. He wasn't taking pictures for a publication. Like, my pictures ended up on the Genuinely Nerdy website because I did a write-up on the show, and some of them ended up in the video that I put up on YouTube. So, like, I was doing it for a purpose. He was doing it to have the pictures.
Yes.
And his goal, we were talking about it, and he was like, the sole purpose for me being here is because eventually I would like to get paid to be a photographer, and I'm just building a portfolio right now, and this is just a fun way to do it.
Yeah.
Like, shit, yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's a good hobby. You get to see, bands that you wouldn't be willing to go pay to just check out.
Right.
It's a good way to get out, start a hobby, work on a craft.
Yeah, dude, it was a blast. Like, I seriously, I got some fucking epic shots that I've been slowly posting across the social medias. And
are you one of those photographers that uses a lot of filters before you release your stuff?
No way. The only thing I
purist.
Do, yeah, oh yeah. The only thing I'll do is, certain pictures work better in black and white than others. Uh-huh. So that's the only kind of thing. Obviously I'll edit, because when you're shooting with a DSLR, when you're shooting with any professional or prosumer is what they call a lot of these cameras, you're shooting with a camera of that grade. As a serious photographer, you're shooting in RAW. So shooting in RAW means it's a really flat image when it comes out of the camera. So I'll do a little bit of editing so it's not flat anymore, but I don't add filters because that's fucking lazy.
Do you mess with exposure times and whatnot for
sure,
when there's crazy lights going on? And
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because so that was a thing that I was fighting with all night was And I was like comparing notes with some of the other photographers, like what are you shooting at? What's your shutter speed? What's your ISO set to? All that jazz. Because my camera's decent. It's not the best in the market, but it's definitely not the worst. It's in the middle of the pack.
You're not using your iPhone.
Fuck no.
Don't get me wrong. I've gotten several good pictures with just my phone camera.
Oh shit, they're shooting movies. They're shooting movies on iPhones these days. Not anything major studio, but definitely some indie releases that get a couple thousand theaters. Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah, it's nuts. So like we were comparing notes and stuff, and I felt confident in what I was getting. It's really hard to tell though when you're shooting this kind of stuff because your LCD, the readout that you get on your little screen on the camera when you're scrolling through after the fact, kind of lies to you. Sometimes it can tell you, it'll show that your image looks really good because it's so small and compressed, but then you blow it up on a computer screen, so it's a little bit more actual size, and you're like, oh fuck, that focus is way off, or I really blew out the highlights in this one, or so on and so forth. So you gotta really trust the other instruments because there's an intervalometer built into most every DSLR these days that kind of reads the light. So you got to know what that reading is and all that jazz. So yeah, definitely was playing with exposure, the exposure triangle all night.
All right. You definitely went over my head on the last part there. But I'm sure for any photographers out there listening,
There's 3 elements to exposure, and I was playing with all 3 of those elements. Anyway, so
fantastic.
Yeah, so I get to the show, and I'm the other thing that I'm still learning in this business is as I'm documenting it, again, as I'm in that third position, documenting what's happening around me, it's really about losing a little bit of inhibition because I feel fucking goofy as shit walking around a bunch of people talking to a camera.
Yeah.
Like,
you just got to put the blinders on sometimes and just
for sure.
Remind yourself that, you're there for a different reason than everybody else.
And I also got some crowd interviews, but like as people were lined up outside the venue before they opened the doors. And it was like, okay, just open your fucking mouth and do it because it's not going to happen if you don't do that much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a big growing experience for me, not even just because I got to take pictures of seriously one of my top 5 bands, but also because I did a review in a way that I've never seen anybody else do. I've never seen anybody do a quote vlog style review of a show, so I thought that was interesting in and of itself. And just getting out of that shell because I'm not like I can deal with being around people. I'm not necessarily an introvert, but I'm not outgoing.
You're not going to start the conversation?
Yeah. That's
You'll have the conversation, but
yes, that's a good way of saying that.
Yeah.
So that was Atreyu. I fucking, it was so cool. And I got a new lens like the day before, so I got to play with the new lens too.
Right.
Yeah.
It's always fun to play with new toys.
Anyway, sorry. I feel like that took up a lot more time than I anticipated it was going to.
That's all right. We had a couple of tangents in there. Do a little bit of editing if we need to.
Yeah. So since we have plenty of ground to make up for it, is there anything that you have heard that interests you as far as tours?
Well, I think. I guess since last week, what was it that we talked about with tours last week?
You were talking about venues more than tours.
Yeah. So, not so much with tours, but with venues. There's the venue down in New Orleans, Tipitina's.
That's right, Tipitina's. That's what it was.
Yeah, real classic venue for anybody that's ever visited the music scene in New Orleans. But the band Galactic, the funk band from there. Those guys purchased the venue, and they said they're not going to change anything. They're just going to make it better. Is what I heard.
How does that work?
Keeping the same staff and stuff. I don't know.
It's probably something akin to what they did at Hodie's, you think?
Yeah, I don't know. Making the bathrooms suck less. I don't know.
Making you less afraid to take a piss in their urinals. All right.
I mean, good for them, though. You know, buying the venue. It's like being able to control the source. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Three Kings, which is the venue I was trying to think of a minute ago. We went and saw a goth dude named Voltaire. And some goth band that opened for him. I can't remember. Anyway, Three Kings, one of the owners is the bass player from Lamb of God.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. I don't know how that necessarily relates. That. Also related to what you just said. Shit.
A musician owning a venue. But the thing that I find interesting, it's the entire band.
Yeah, that's true.
Like the entity of the band purchased the venue. It's not just
one member.
Yeah, it's not like
Vinnie
Johnny
Paul
Depp owning a music club. He's like, hey, I got my own venue.
It's not Vinnie Paul owning a strip club.
Yeah.
Jazz Fest, right, is in April.
Yes.
And
I'll be down there.
We just got our Airbnb a couple days ago, and we're not too far from that venue. Yeah,
that's right. You'll be down there too.
Yes, sir.
I think the Stones are playing down there this year.
No shit.
Yeah, one of the weekends I think Rolling Stones are playing. I think it's the same weekend String Cheese is playing.
What weekend is String Cheese? I didn't even ask you that. What weekend is String Cheese playing?
I don't know. Because we're off the top of my head. I mean, that's April. That's
right. No, that's
so many
way
more
too
things
far
I
away.
need to deal with before that.
We are we're going down for the second weekend, so we'll be up there like the Monday after the first weekend ends, and then we're staying until the following Tuesday.
Nice.
So yeah, we're gonna have to do beers and maybe do an episode of this while we're there.
Yeah, absolutely. Do a little what we learned at Jazz Fest.
Fuck yeah, I'm gonna see.
To slur too much.
I'm gonna see what it takes to get some fucking photo passes. You know what I mean? I feel like that could be a whole fuck ton of fun. I'm not like I'm not gonna be taking pictures anyway, but you know.
Well, it can help you get to some of those places at Jazz Fest. They have these multiple layers, like ticket tiers that you can buy.
Right.
And the VIP areas on some of the stages are enormous, like the first 50 feet of the audience.
Wow.
I was there a couple years ago with a band that, none of our fans bought VIP tickets, just general admission. So there was this huge amount of space that only had 5 people,
right,
kind of spread out and staring at the band like, who are these people?
Who are these string cheese
and then all our
motherfuckers?
fans like way off and like you could barely see them. Yeah, it's kind of strange, but
hey man,
I don't know. I'm just excited about the food down there. I'll tell you.
Always, the food is 90% of the reason you go to fucking New Orleans.
Yeah. Food is pretty incredible.
And then
the Napoleonic Law, but we'll let the other podcast talk about that.
Oh shit. I feel like there was another venue though. Someone from Ween was involved in a venue that you brought up last week.
We talked about that a couple weeks ago.
Oh, was that a couple weeks ago?
Dean Ween's the Honey Pot Lounge, the marijuana pot smoking venue in Denver.
No, I'm pretty sure that was last week, sir.
Well, maybe that was last week. Either ways, I'll recap.
There we go.
Dean Ween has announced that he's looking to open up a venue in Denver that's a marijuana-friendly venue. And they're still going through the permitting process and still looking for the appropriate venue site, but they're trying to get started by April 20th.
Like you would.
Go figure.
like you would.
Yeah, and it's going to be, I think it's going to be a general, like, kind of common place where people can go as a safe haven to just smoke weed, like a smoking lounge during the day. And there'll be maybe seminars or people talking, like TED Talks. I don't know. They're still getting the format of the venue down because they aren't going to be able to serve alcohol if they allow marijuana consumption. So
that's interesting.
They're going to have to find other ways to draw people in.
I feel like there was like a weed cafe downtown Denver that they were trying to open up that also had.
I don't think there's any place that has a marijuana smoking permit in Colorado.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Is they were trying for it because they were trying to have the daytime hours where they could have marijuana, and then the nighttime hours where they could turn it into a bar and sell alcohol. And
interesting.
Yeah,
I don't know how that would work.
They had a spot, weird. But they haven't been able to get the permit, so I don't know if they still have the spot.
Yeah, I didn't know that there was a formal permit for a marijuana smoking.
Apparently, that's one of the things that they're still, because all this shit's still so new. Like, I feel like that was one of the things.
Well, tourists come here and they stay in hotel rooms and they rental cars. They can't, you can't smoke in a rented room or most Airbnbs. You can't smoke in your rental car. Well, you can't smoke while driving anyways. It's the law. But you can't smoke in parks or anywhere like that. Unless you know somebody with a private residence that you can go to, and there's no place where a tourist can legally consume marijuana. So that's something that's really been kind of pushed to the side, as far as, I guess, to some degree they don't really care. Just don't make it obvious. But at the same time, there needs to be a legitimate legal way for people to do this. I mean, they have like needle safes, or not needle safe, what do I want to say, like heroin use zones in San Francisco and shit, where it's totally fine to go and shoot up here. It's like, here's your,
and we have
here's your
staff.
drug zone.
Yeah,
it's drug free zone over there by the school, but here's your drug zone over here by the bike path.
Just don't leave your needles in the bike path, you'll be all right.
Well, that's a part of it, is they have these receptacles for people to recycle needles and stuff like that, and it's a part of cleaning up all that trash.
Right.
No,
I think that's a really cool idea, though, to start a venue where you can have music, because like you can have music, you can have talks. You know what I'm saying? You can have gatherings.
Exactly.
Of any sort. That's a really fucking cool idea. I thought the cafe/bar thing was an interesting idea, and then you brought that up last week, and I was like, that's a fucking better idea.
Yeah, and that might be another thing, is they may put a coffee shop in there in exchange for not having alcohol sales. There may be a juice bar or something like that, because people are gonna be thirsty. Their mouths are going to get dry.
Fuck yeah.
Weed all day. This is science, people.
That's just the way it works.
Yeah. Charge, $7 bottled waters. You have a captive audience. What else is going on with venues? Oh, I was just up in Montana over Thanksgiving. And one of my cousins who lives up there in Bozeman was telling me that I can't remember if it was Kettle House or Big Sky. One of the breweries up there just purchased a piece of land in Bozeman that they're going to build a venue on.
Yeah, I think you said it was Big Sky.
Well, Big Sky ski resorts in Bozeman. So I don't know. But Kettle House already has an amphitheater, and the amphitheater that they built in Missoula up there.
Right.
Beautiful place right on the river.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the Kettle House Amphitheater.
Is it cooler than the Mish?
Different. It's larger than the Mish. It fits a couple thousand people. I want to say like 3 or 4.
Wow.
Yeah. Nicer backstages, but not as unique. Mishawaka is special, There's nothing as cool as a cabin like that right near the water. But yeah, you can do a lot bigger productions at this place. That's for sure. Lila Lovett was the first show in there.
Oh wow!
To give you an idea.
Fair enough. Yeah,
that dude crushes. If you ever get a chance, Lila Lovett. Oh my god,
that will definitely bring an audience.
And I mean, I don't really know his catalog, but I got to see him play a couple years ago, and that was a treat. His band is badass.
Yeah, man. That's
And I mean, before that, I only really knew him for like because he was married to Julia Roberts.
right.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this guy is pretty funny looking to be
Married to somebody
married
so
to
pretty.
Yeah, exactly. To a pretty woman.
I see what you
Yeah,
did
but
there.
yeah, I don't think his bass player looked at his fretboard the entire show. It was
Good.
insane. That dude was just ripping it too.
That's
yeah,
fucking cool.
he looked kind of bored, and he was playing these amazing bass lines.
A little John Entwistle style or what? Because Entwistle, you go back and look at any videos of Entwistle playing, and he looks bored to shit.
No, this guy. I mean, he was holding the pocket. He just looked like he was at work.
Ah,
It was fun to see him play, but man, he just made it look too easy.
yeah.
It's one of those things. It's like, come on, dude. At least, it
At
made
least
me feel
pretend to
bad as a
strain.
musician. Yeah. Yeah. Whenever you see somebody that's mastered something to the point where there's no amount of practice that you could do to get there in this
Right.
lifetime.
Because they started before they could talk.
or they just have some understanding with their instrument that
Yeah.
is beyond just something you can learn.
Are you much of a fantasy reader?
Yes. I don't know.
Like, do you really dig the Lord of the Rings and shit like that?
Yeah.
So there is this fantasy.
It's just I haven't really been up on my reading lately. I'm a little behind on my homework.
Fair enough. there is this fantasy author named Patrick Rothfuss who is finishing a trilogy that is what most of his fans think is the lead-in to a much larger series of books. Anyway, they call him the new George R.R. Martin because of the impact the first two books of this trilogy have had on people. Anyway, the books follow this character named Quoth. And Quoth is a musician. He starts off the story as a traveling musician. His family, they go through these different towns, and that's how they make money and survive, is by performing for people. So they all die. Spoiler alert. Not really, because that happens in like the first two chapters. His whole family dies.
Still, I don't even know if I want to read it now. You just gave it away. I'm screwing with you. Go on.
Like the thing that keeps him alive for a little while is his instrument. It's a stringed instrument. I forget exactly what he calls it, but it's kind of like a lyre. It's a little bit like a lyre and a guitar kind of mixed. Anyway. So that's what keeps him alive for the first little while, because he was kind of sort of not there when everyone got attacked. He was a little kid. When he got back, everybody was dead, and all he had was his instrument. So that's a cool part of that. But the thing that made me think about it is there's a section.
Pretty metal.
Yeah, really. There's a section of the second book, I believe, where he's making a living in a town where he's like the local bard, kind of. He's playing music at a bar so people go watch him play, and somebody comes to see him that he recognizes, and so he does a thing where he plays the simplest song he can think of and makes it look really difficult to play, and then like is like making
Prince does when he plays When My Guitar Gently Weeps.
He makes a big show out of this really simple song, and then he plays this really intricate, very involved, and very difficult song, and looks bored and makes it look like it's the most simple thing to do, because he thinks it's funny to do that to other musicians. And like he's like, at one point he gets up, because he plays sitting down most of the time at this bar. He gets up off his chair and he's like looking for money that he thought he dropped on the stage while he's playing this intricate piece of music. And it's really like, it's a whole, as a musician reading the chapter in which this happens, I was fucking dying. It was so funny.
Oh man, I gotta check that out. What's the name of the book again?
The name of the series is The King Killer Chronicles. The first book,
KKK.
No, because Chronicles doesn't start with a K.
No. Oh, it does on this one. Yeah, this one video game I've been playing. It does start with a K. Sorry.
The first book is The Name of the Wind, and the second book is
King Killer
Chronicles is the series. And the first book is The Name of the Wind, and the second book is A Wise Man's Fear.
So close to KFC.
Or Krispy Kreme.
Or okay.
That's 2 Ks, right?
Cream is definitely a C.
Krispy Kreme, the company spells it with 2 Ks.
Yeah. Yeah.
It used to be Krispy Kreme croissants, and they spelled croissants with a K as well. So it was KKK.
Really?
Yes, that's how the company started. Was Krispy Kreme croissants.
Well, I believe they're from North Carolina.
I believe they are.
Maybe it took them a little longer to catch on down there.
Well, the company's old as shit, so it very well could have started when it was an acceptable thing to align yourself with the KKK. Because apparently that was a thing for a while.
Yeah, well,
especially down south.
We just had a vote on whether or not we wanted to outlaw slavery in Colorado. So.
Touche.
Maybe we're not too on top of the times ourselves. But that was just regarding prisoners. And again, we'll let the other podcast deal with that notion of things. All right. What were we talking about again?
We're still doing tour stuff, sir.
Oh yeah.
So yeah,
tours are cool.
Tours are fun. I've already mentioned too. Atreyu is finishing up the tour that they're on. So if you are out there, Podzeners, and they have not yet come through your town, and you like metalcore, that is a killer show to catch. I had a shit ton of fun with that show. And then Gogol Bordello. I don't have the dates in front of me, but I do know they're in Colorado for like 3 days at the end of this month, and then the rest.
Highly recommend.
Gogol.
Yeah, highly recommend checking out their show. Those guys are great.
Yeah, so much fun. I've seen them once before. This will be my second time seeing them at the end of the month. It's a hell of a show. One that I'm looking at that really has me excited though is a band called Baroness.
Is what?
Baroness.
Sorry. Baroness?
Yeah, Baroness.
Never heard of them.
Like a female baron. They are. Yeah. God, how would I describe Baroness's sound? Are you familiar with Neurosis at all?
Not extremely familiar. No.
Neurosis started, I guess, a subgenre of heavy music called post-metal. I don't think they're the ones that call it that because that's really fucking pretentious and annoying, but like Baroness.
Maybe that's who they are. Do you know them?
Not personally, but vicariously, kind of, yeah. So Baroness, if Neurosis is post-metal and kind of you're familiar with the subcategorization why things are called post something else, right? Like it has
actually I'm not.
So generally speaking, like think of your favorite grunge band and then think of Days of the New. You know Days of the New?
Yeah.
Days of the New was considered post-grunge. Because there are certain tinges of that genre, but they've taken it into generally speaking, a post categorization means they've kind of softened some of the edges. In the post metal, that's not exactly the case because Neurosis is definitely still pretty fucking intense. Baroness, though, as far past the general genre of metal Neurosis is. Baroness is that much further past Neurosis. It's kind of like this 70s prog kind of sound, but a very modern take on that.
Yeah. Okay.
It's really fucking cool. Like they definitely have heavy bits, but their last 3 records have had almost zero of that harsh kind of screamy vocal. And it's just really, really intricate, beautiful music. It's not even like in your face aggressive. It's just there's heavy passages in this movement of music. You know what I mean?
Huh. It's like post-contemporary.
There you go, something like that. Yeah.
Which I don't think could. I want to start that genre of music, post-contemporary.
But yeah, so they're going on tour with a band I've only heard of. I've never actually heard, called Deaf Heaven. And yeah,
Deaf Heaven.
Deaf
as in I can't
as
hear.
in I can't
deaf
hear.
as in I can't live.
As in I
I'm
can't
not-
hear. Deaf Heaven. Exactly. I can't hear, and I've gone to Nirvana. Something, I don't know.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, I'm interested in that. If I can get photo passed at that, I am all over it. Shit, I might even just go see it because I haven't seen Baroness in years.
I wonder if when Deaf Heaven streams their shows, it's just video,
Just
no audio.
or when they on their
It's
Spotify
just a close
channel
up on their signer.
on their Spotify
Not
channel
even
is
the
just
band being
silence.
shown. Oh man, we should start it. We should start a channel that's just instead of showing concerts, it's just the signers.
I mean, Lamb of
Just
God
like
kind of did that
Signer
for one
Vision.
of their shows. That shit got
What's
like
that?
Lamb of God. So, God, this was like 3-4 months ago. They were playing some festival, and Randy, between songs, kind of stopped the show. Their vocalist stopped the show and like pointed out the signer on the side of the stage and then it was like all over news, like the whatever local affiliate news was did a piece about it because and then it like blew up. It's viral on YouTube. He stopped and was like, "This signer right here is the most amazing signer I think Lamb of God has ever had." And she was like getting into it, and she was making these big evil faces when he was doing these big crazy growls, and it was fucking hilarious. It was so great.
No, that's amazing.
So yeah, there's a couple of videos I think of her doing like the entire Lamb of God song. So somebody slightly beat us to it.
Well, it's just a couple of videos.
That's
I'm
what
talking
saying.
about.
Do a whole damn channel. Just that to be the only
Yeah,
thing.
I mean, might not be able to use the audio, but shit, that just means we can put our own thing in
There
there,
you go.
and the deaf people aren't gonna know.
Exactly.
And the funny thing is, people that can hear, I mean, majority of them aren't gonna know what the signers are doing, anyways. Tons of content.
We could make
Hilarious
some
content.
we could make
available
some
at our fingertips.
super intense music, like super serious looking music video, and it's just the signer the whole time.
Yeah, or we could just insert some of those clips into our own videos.
That would be fun as well, sir.
Yeah.
Do you know anybody that knows American Sign Language?
Yeah, actually, one of my buddies is dating one of the main sign language girls that does Red Rocks all the time.
No shit.
Yeah.
So this is like a thing we can actually do. Stay tuned, Podzeners. We are going to be doing some signs in the Obscene music videos.
And another one of my buddies just moved next door to one of the guys that's a signer at Red Rocks. So,
That's crazy.
yeah, we could do a Red Rock signer channel.
Let's do it.
Get approval by the city, jump through some hoops. We'll have it going in like 5 years.
If we're waiting on approval by the city, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that's your episode for the week, guys. Again, my apologies for last week because, technology is a wonderful thing, but fuck if it doesn't break a lot.
I take zero responsibility for what happened.
Any of the technology. I take full responsibility. Don't worry about it.
And Podzeners, please take note that Frankie apologized to you guys, but still has not publicly apologized to me for the work that I put in.
Apologize to Mr. Danger. I am so sorry, Mr.
See,
Mr.
now it just
Dorchester.
feels forced.
Now you sound like my girlfriend. Joking.
I know,
I'm totally
it just made it
joking.
weird.
Yeah. See
Well, it
what
wasn't
you've
weird
done.
until you said that.
So yeah, tune in next time, guys. As this evolves, it becomes better and better, I feel like. So keep checking back. We really appreciate the few of you that have migrated from the regular Podzeen over to the tour thing. And hopefully that just keeps on growing and keeps on growing. We do try and do an episode a week. You can find all of the episodes over on the website. Obzeen.rocks is the website. Or on the YouTube. I've got most of them up there. I feel like I might be one or two off, but not any of the good ones. All the good ones are up.
Yeah.
So check.
And if any listeners have questions or any topics or, like,
I'm
sure a lot of people have a lot of questions as far as what happens behind the scenes. How would they reach out to us?
You can leave comments on the website, or there is a phone number that
Please don't give up my phone.
No,
number.
it's not your phone number. No, we have a Google thing set up so that people can call in for Podzeen in general. And if you have a tour thing, just let us know it's for the tour thing. The number is 737-471-Zine. I don't know what that exactly translates to. 9336.
Zine.
Yeah, 9336. So
Zeen.
Zeen. 737-471-9336 is the number. So yeah, you can leave us a voicemail. You can leave a comment either on the website or on the YouTube. We don't have a proper email set up just yet. I'm still getting that all ironed out. But as things progress, that stuff will come around. So check us out. And on the YouTube, just search for Podzeen Tour Thing if that's not where you're listening to us already. We really appreciate the listens, guys. And like we say at the end of every episode, safe travels.
Safe travels. Let's make like a fetus and head out.